Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Brad. It's been way too long since I've done this. Got a lot of things on my mind. My son just went down for a nap, so I'm hoping he stays down long enough I can shoot a video, but by the time I got the camera set up and got all my art supplies out, geez, he can wake up any minute. So, I figured I might draw today. It's not what I should be working on, but I really wanted to get back to doing videos, and for a video I just need something that takes virtually no preparation. And the other day I did, well, a couple weeks ago, The Mummy, and this is my reference here, and I did that pretty darn quick and in a little different steps than what I usually do. I skipped a step. I didn't use the multi-liner at all, I think, until the end. So usually I draw pencil outline, and then I go in with the multi-liner and outline everything, and then I go in with the markers. And I just wanted to try something new and just skip that multi-liner step. And I did that one way quick compared to my usual, I don't know, I probably took about a half hour total. I didn't time it. I just wanted to see how that went. Now, I don't plan on doing that today, going for any speed record when I'm on video talking, but I was thinking maybe a draw. I think I might do all these Universal monsters. I've already done a Frankenstein. I think I might do Wolfman today. But first I was just going to show you guys somewhat of an update on some of my Drawing Dead stuff and kind of how those come together. When I sit down to do Drawing Dead stuff, for those who don't know, Drawing Dead is the Kickstarter project I ran a while back, and now I'm working on the drawings. It is zombie poker sketch cards. So I'm making a poker deck, and each card in the deck will be represented by a zombie that was one of the backers. So I'll show you a couple examples. So like this girl here with the purple hair, her dad was one of the backers, and he wanted to get a zombie picture of his daughter. And so this is kind of how, I'll do one of these on video, I think. I can't believe I haven't yet. Oh no, I did do one, but I haven't posted that video up yet. It's funny, I just did a time lapse. But anyway, that's the kind of thing I do. So I take her face, got rid of her glasses, and kind of zombied her up. I had to make up kind of the upper area of her head there. This is another one I really like, this little guy. The pose they sent, so I just asked the people to send me, a couple photos of them as, like, in pose that a zombie might be in. And this guy was the king of diamonds, I think, which traditionally in a card deck, the king of diamonds has an axe and is one of the only cards with the axe. So I already had planned to stick an axe in somebody's head, and that was the pose. He didn't tell them that, but that was the pose that he got, and I was like, oh, that's perfect. So he'll be the king of diamonds. But you can see, hopefully, looking at these examples, that I try and capture the likeness and the pose, and then add in the zombie details. So I got a couple more here that I can show. There's one. So that I keep the likeness there and zombie it up. Oh, I got it. And what I usually do, full disclosure here, is I'll combine references to come up with some of these ideas. So there's Eugene, and another guy actually sent this photo of him with his hand in his mouth, and I liked that idea, but I didn't use that photo for him, so I just looked at his hand and kind of figured out how that would go in his mouth. So that's kind of an idea, and I did actually, he sent some awesome photos. So I ended up using a couple of his on ones that weren't even his card. Where's the other one? I just had it. So here, I went with the zombie tearing its own face off look, but I used somebody else's. And there she is. So it's been a really fun project that has stretched me a little bit in creative ways. That's, maybe a little different than what I'm used to, because I generally stick really close to the reference I'm looking at. So I feel like I have to show this one just because, I don't know that I can dig up his photo real quick. But this is the guy who sent those awesome photos. That's the one I actually did of him. I don't see his reference photo right offhand, but he did one where he was punching himself in the face and thought, hey, well, I'll make it look like somebody, it looks like somebody else is punching him. And got teeth coming out and eyeball popping out, and he's got some scabs and scars, and so this is some of the ones I've done more recently. Let me just ditch that for a second. Oh boy. This was another I was going to show. This one I wanted to do a dead zombie. This one I actually used the reference for Gus Fring from Breaking Bad. Spoiler alert if anybody's watching the series but hasn't got that far yet. But he was a Breaking Bad fan, so I had that idea because obviously it's Breaking Bad. He's not a zombie, but it looks so zombie-like that I wanted to use that concept to pay homage to that show and that moment in the show, and still use it as my as a zombie. So I think that kind of covers what I wanted to show, at least for zombie stuff. I did like this one, so I was going to show this one if I can find the reference real quick. I've got so many darn reference photos printed up, it's hard to just find what I need real fast on the spot like that. Here's the one I was going to show. This guy's been one of my biggest supporters, and his son, this is his son too, but I don't think I have that one in my hand here, so I'll have to wait. But anyway, that was one of the ones I thought turned out better in terms of the likeness, keeping a really strong likeness and still adding in some good gory details. So that's how I've been going about that, and boy, what a fun project that's been. But it's also been a little bit, I almost wanted to say more of a headache than I expected, but that's not the right way to put it. It's been kind of a challenge planning out 54 cards and how I'm going to fit in. So I had kind of a checklist of zombie ideas that I wanted to do maybe, and how I'm going to make each one fit into a card, and it was a lot of planning doing it that way. It wasn't usually as spontaneous as just sitting down and drawing, starting to draw, from my reference photo and add in zombie details. So let's see how Wolfman comes together here. Boy, I haven't, again, full disclosure, I haven't been drawing. I think this is my longest stretch of not drawing all year, but I think I haven't drawn in 3 days. And there's not really... Oh, that's not true. I drew yesterday. I did finish a card yesterday. But the day before and the day before, what was yesterday? Monday. So I hadn't drawn Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And I have something of an excuse for that, but not really. And I just part of the reason I wanted to do a video today had nothing to do with needing to get this card done. But I start having these conversations with myself in my head about, like, what would I be saying if I was on video, kind of thing. And it made me realize I got to get back to this. I got to get back to my routines, and I really enjoy doing videos of my art, if only for myself, because it keeps me engaged in it, and it keeps my, in a way, it keeps my thoughts organized, and keeps me doing and working on the things I should be. That doesn't make sense the way I said it, but I know what I mean. Yeah, I've got to get back to immersing myself in art. And I've had a pretty tough time making the transition of being a full-time stay-at-home dad and getting my art in too. It's just really hard to get, for instance, an hour plus at a time to sit down uninterrupted. Like right now, he's asleep. Like I said, I'm hoping he sleeps for an hour so I can do this video and this drawing. But he could wake up any minute, and I'd have to basically shut it off and hope to come back to it later. Maybe if he does that, maybe I'll just leave it up and try and piecemeal together the videos. Boy, my thoughts are very jumbled right now. I've already touched on 3 or 4 of the topics that I wanted to hit without actually explaining. So, at the start of this year, I set out with a goal, which I have failed miserably at, and I already just admitted that because I said I went 3 days without drawing. But one of my goals for drawing this year was to draw every day all year long, even if it was just a 5 or 10 minute quick sketch. And I did really good for the first probably 4 months. I think it was in April or so. There was a day that it just wasn't really feasible. I had a really busy day where I can't remember what we were doing. We were doing something in the morning, or we had a late night the night before, or whatever. And then I had kind of an all-day thing planned with my brother who was in town. We went to a basketball game and went out afterwards and things like that. And like I said, I'm making excuses. I probably should have just made sure I did a quick 10-minute drawing before I left the house that day. But it just wasn't a day that I had extra time to do that, to fit in a drawing. So I didn't want to beat myself up over missing a day, right? I was like, okay, that's fine. Got back to it the next day and the next day and the next day. But once I had done that, once I had missed a day, then it didn't seem like as big of a deal the next time I missed a day, or the next time I missed a day. For instance, if I said that I didn't draw Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday, I was on planes all day. Again, it would have been, I could have done some drawing during a layover at the airport, and I probably should have done that. But, I was on planes all day long, coming back from Alaska. We were on 3 different flights. So that's almost ready for markers if I'm going to do it that way. I feel like I'm going a little too quick here, but I also feel like, I don't know if you guys can see it because it's really light. I also feel like it's fairly accurate considering how quickly I scribbled it down. Can't really see what's going on with his nose here. Even though I've got the photo, I think there's the nostrils. But it'll come together as I just draw the values in the right places. It'll look right. Get a dark shadow there. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go in with the markers now. So anyway, so that was like one day full day of flying. And then the next day was pretty much, getting on. We were gone in Alaska for 2 weeks. And I'll get to that a little bit too, just talking a little bit about the trip. The next day is kind of getting organized and getting home again and unpacked and starting to. I was almost without internet in Alaska. We had internet, but it was so spotty that about all I did was tried to put up a drawing on Instagram each day, but I didn't even go back and try and respond to the people commenting or things like that till I got back. Didn't really respond to emails unless it was something pertinent, because it was just real spotty. We were in Gustavus, Alaska, doing some halibut fishing, which is a pretty awesome experience. I'm no fisherman by any stretch, but my wife's dad has a place up there in the summers. Well, he goes in the summers. He's got the place all year long. So we usually, this is the fourth time I think that I've been up there. We usually go for, she goes every summer. And like I said, I've gone 4 out of the past, I think, 6 years that we've been together. And do some fishing. And for me, it's a good chance to do a lot of art because it's a really slow-paced life there. There's not a heck of a lot to do. So I actually took all my markers this time and did. Got about, in a 2-week period, I got about 25 or 30 sketch cards done. Which even then I felt great about it, and looking back I should have done more because I spent a lot of time just lounging around. When people are around, it's hard to do it, to just sit around and draw. The best days I had for drawing by far were when other people went out on the boat and I stayed back, and I only did that twice this year. That's when I can really get my work done. That's nice too, because I can actually watch TV. They have kind of a, not exactly a no TV policy, but they don't have the TV on very much there, which is fine. And it's just kind of like people like to sit in silence and take in the experience of being, sort of disconnected from the world. Here I said I don't do the multiliner, but I'm going to do it for at least some of the details that need to be a little more clear. But I didn't go in, and actually this is fur. I probably should to some extent go in and give some of the fur, some multiliner, but I think I'll just do the eyes for now. So the Alaska trip was pretty awesome, and it was great. It was bad timing in the sense that for my Drawing Dead project, my initial goal was to be done with all the art by now. And when I realized that we were going to be out of town for 2 weeks right during that time period, I kind of relaxed on that a little bit because I knew that I'd have time to get some good art done while I'm there, for one. And that I wouldn't be able to worry about sending to the printers or whatever until we got back. At the very least, I probably should have just gone in with the 9, which I don't even have. Where is it? Missing a marker. There we go. For the darkest darks, or a black, because that's one of my things I usually wuss out and don't go super dark too soon or ever. Took me a long time. It took me years before I think I ever used my black marker. Seems so final. Drastic. So I'm going to go in with kind of a mid-tone here now, maybe 3. Some of that. So Alaska was pretty awesome. My favorite thing about it, aside from getting a lot of drawing done and being sort of like off the grid and out of, how do I say it, not needing to worry too much about responsibility. I mean, we had our son there, but we had help with Grandpa there, and Auntie was there for a while, and Grandma showed up after a while, so we had more help than usual taking care of the little guy. It's a little bit of a reprieve for me in that sense, so I was really looking forward to just getting a bunch of art done, which I did. Felt pretty good about. I've got a card set I'm working on, for an official set, It's one of those hush-hush ones. I don't think we can... I lose track of what I can mention and can't, so just to be safe, I won't say what it is, but I don't think we're supposed to say yet. But here I was all worried that I didn't get them all done. I got 24 cards for that set, or 23. And I didn't quite finish them. I got, I think, about 50. No, I got about 18 of them done. But they're all inked and ready for markers, except for one. So anyway, I got good progress on that. But now I got home and double-checked the date, and they're not due for almost a month anyway. So I'm going to switch gears and not worry about those for a couple weeks and get caught up on commissions and Drawing Dead. So Drawing Dead, you know, my plan was to already probably have these off to the printers or close to it. I didn't have a firm deadline. It's just kind of guesstimating. But a couple things have come up. It's partly my fault that I'm a little behind on the art. But without a hard deadline, I wasn't too worried about it, and I've had a little bit of trouble getting some. I'm still waiting on reference photos from 4 or 5 people. But I'm now down to, I had a count the other day, I'm down to about a dozen left to do, I think. Maybe less. So I should probably just set a goal, have those done by the end of the month. And that's one of my other things too, man. I was so good last year at setting goals and achieving them, and this year things have changed. It's hard. It's hard taking care of a little guy and being an artist too. And I know people do it. I know I can do it. I just got to adjust, and the biggest thing I got to do is start finding ways to make use of those in-between times. I'm really terrible about going, well, we got to do such and such in half an hour anyway, like if we're going somewhere or whatever. So I'll just draw later when I get home. And I got to start just getting on it and utilizing those half-hour in-between times. Or not even half-hour. I mean, when I'm home for the day with my son, it's 10 minutes here and there, you know. And I'm just not that good at that yet. I get easily sidetracked, and at any moment, you know, he could need something. And he's a good kid, man. He's the easiest, you know, baby, I think, right in the world. He's a super good kid. Not fussy. I mean, he has its moments, but, you know, grand scheme of things, he's a very easy guy to take care of. So I just got to get better at it. And I think one of those things that I have to do goes back to what I was saying a little bit ago, is get to drawing on video and keep up that as a way to keep myself on task, motivated, and organized to, oh, well, I talked about this on video. And I don't care if anybody's watching my videos or not. I know I don't have a lot of viewers. I never really have. Part of that, I know the reasons too. For the most part, I do. I know part of that is, let's just go a little darker all the way around this. Doesn't have to be, background doesn't have to be exactly like the photo. Part of that is I don't have any like special effects. I don't do any video editing, hardly at all. I don't have an intro or anything like that. And I probably won't ever get into that stuff. I do think at some point, if I want to get serious about this, I have to get at least a little more going on that front. Like, you know, get a little intro at the little ditty or whatever. But I want my time to be spent drawing, not editing videos. And I also know that the long, rambling videos like this have a very specific audience. There's not a lot of people that are going to be interested in that. It's kind of the Jeff Lafferty style of, art casting. And I know his following is like, hey, that's what we want. We want you to sit there and draw and ramble on for a half hour at least. So those people are out there, but it's such a niche group of artists, pretty much only. People who are watching my art, watching my videos who aren't artists, are few and far between, and they're pretty much probably only going to watch if there's a certain reason. So like, for instance, the one guy had requested that I do his son's Drawing Dead card on video. So I did that, and I haven't posted it yet, but he'll watch that and his son will watch it. But not too many other people are going to watch that. Now that one actually doesn't fit what I'm saying because that's a time-lapse one anyway, so it'll be real quick. It's not going to be one of my long rambly videos like this is already turning out to be. So I get that. Like, I'm not going to get a big viewership, and that's not really one of my goals anyway. But I enjoy it, and it keeps me on point. And just thinking about it, I start to get excited again. Or maybe not again. I mean, in some ways I've had some problems with motivation, or just keeping things fresh and on point. Sketch cards as a whole are changing. There's not many offers coming in from card companies anymore, and a lot of them, my foot is no longer in the door because of, for whatever reason. Usually it's that the pay doesn't make sense when I can make money on doing a Kickstarter like this and get 40 or 50 bucks a card. Doing 40 or 50 cards for a company at $5 a card doesn't cut it. So that's a big part of it. Of why I'm not doing as many sets these days, but it's not everything either. Like I said, I've got the one set I am working on that's due next month. But I haven't heard a peep about any other sets really in the meantime. So the good thing about that, I've got a few commissions lined up. It'll give me a chance to get some of those done and get caught up. I haven't pushed commissions in a very long time because I've been either doing set work or busy with other commissions. So hey, that's not a complaint. That's awesome. Best I could hope for. So, Alaska was pretty awesome. My favorite part, I said this, 10 minutes ago? My favorite part, besides getting art done, is, and then I trailed off, the wildlife there. It's rad. We were driving down the road towards the docks to put the boat in, and saw a bear up ahead, a black bear crossing the road, which is exciting in and of itself. It's like, oh, cool, black bear crossing the road, awesome. Mark that off the checklist of what I wanted to do or see during this trip. Always cool to see a bear. I haven't always seen a bear on my 4 trips up there. So that was awesome. And then on the way back an hour later, we saw another one that was, it wasn't just way up in front of us and running across the road. It was on the side of the road. I'll probably post the little video on Facebook once I get organized. But it was just sitting there on the side of the road, and we pulled over for a minute or two. You don't want to disturb him. He was looking at us, and we just watched him for a bit. He was scratching a tree, acting like he might climb it, scratching around for bugs or whatever in the ground or in a log or something. It was just awesome, man. You just don't get to see that sort of thing every day. So that was awesome. And then a couple days later, we did this little mini hike, not even a big thing at all. And we walked back on this trail on a like a bridge, I guess, that goes through the woods on a trail, and then you get to this little like lake or pond that's just kind of an opening, and I'm sitting there. There's a bench there. I'm sitting there on the bench doing a little sketch in my. Let me show you. In my awesome new sketch wallet, and my wife and her sister are sitting there. This is a nifty thing, man. I gotta make use of this too. And this goes back to drawing every day. My wife got me this for Father's Day, sketch wallet. Need a new wallet anyway. I haven't really started using it as my wallet, but it's got a place for your money and for cards and stuff. And I just have a little pencil back here that it comes with. I haven't used that yet. I don't know if I ever will. So I just put this multi-liner copic brush and clipped it on here. And I pretty much put this in my cargo shorts pocket. It doesn't fit that comfortably in your back pocket with pens and stuff clipped in there, so I don't really know what the other answer is. I think you could, if I didn't have the pens and pencils and erasers, I could carry it around as a wallet just fine. But I've wanted this for a long time to have something to draw with on me at all times, and I'm getting better about carrying this around. So anyway, we were heading back into the woods, come to this little clearing. You can't even really tell what this is. I scribbled this in 5 minutes because, like I said, they were sitting there waiting for me. But while I'm scribbling these trees in, this is all water, right? This bear comes swimming across the thing, and we're just watching it. You know what? And I mean, it's close enough that it sees us, and we weren't really a threat, and so it just went about its business. But theoretically, it could have charged us or whatever. I drew in a little bear. I was not drawing while he was there, but there he is. So that was a thrill. We sat and watched him for 10 minutes. I got a bunch of pictures and little short videos and stuff. That was super cool. The last day fishing, we saw a pod of killer whales. That was awesome. You see porcupines crossing the road. We saw a moose right up. Well, one that walked through the yard, and then another one that we pulled around a corner, and there he was, little moose in the road. He runs across the road, and his mom is right on the other side of the road. So they were sitting there right on the side of the road, and we watched them for a couple minutes. It's just really cool that around any corner there can be a bear or moose. I mean, how cool is that? And a little scary, too. Alright, so what do I do next with this guy? Gotta go a little darker in some of these areas. I want this to be good, but I don't want it to be perfect. I don't want every detail in there. I want it to get good. So like I'm 30 minutes into this video. Probably was 10 minutes before I started drawing, I'm guessing. So that's part of what I'm going for here is combining speed and a nice kind of neat sketchy quality to it and accuracy. I don't want it to be something I spend 2 hours on. This is not for anything or anybody. I just thought it would be kind of neat to draw some of the universal monsters, which are well, I don't know, everybody likes them. Well known, well liked, well, what is the word I'm looking for? And I don't know why I'm doing them. I never have watched any of these movies, which is really sad. I should. Not even Frankenstein. So, I just wanted to find I'm working on finding the right balance between, oh boy, let's see. The fur is tough. I don't want to draw in every line. Let's go to 4. I just want to suggest it, right? Oh, just lost a thought right there. What was I saying right before that? So I'm trying to find that balance. That can be darker. See that little, those little scribbles I just did? That's more perfect and precious than I want to be. I don't know if I'm even going to do much more on this. Maybe I just sort of leave it where it is or go back later. Now, if it's a commission, it's a little different. I don't, I take a little more time and try and make sure it's, worth selling, that somebody's paying money for it. But I think somebody would pay money for this by the time I'm finished, I don't want it to suck. I want it to be good still. And I think I'm getting better at finding that balance too, like I just alluded to. I used to spend a good half hour on every single sketch card I did before I ever got to the markers. So the pencil outline stage that I did all on video here, and then going over that with a multi-liner, that was at least a half hour on every card, in every card set that I worked on or whatever. So, and that's part of the reason that, like I said, I haven't been doing as many sets, or I've been pickier about which sets I do, and only doing the ones that, pay a little more to make it, when you start thinking about it as an hourly wage, it doesn't make sense to spend 2 hours plus on every card and have to do 50 cards and get paid, $5 a card plus then maybe I get a few artist proofs and can try and sell those for $100 or $200 each. I always have to weigh out whether it's worth it to be on a set. It's got to be worth my time, and not just for the experience. Though I've done some for that, like I wanted the experience of doing an upper deck set or working on such and such show because I really like it, or because it's popular, or it's a new company that I haven't worked for, or whatever. I prefer not to have to turn down stuff, but it hit a point where you got to find that balance. And if you go back to a lot of the really old sketch card sets, like the Indiana Jones ones, they were sketch cards back then. They did their sketch cards in 5-10 minutes, and that's why they were being paid $5 a card. And yet that somehow that pay scale stuck around, and yet the quality of art was expected to be so much better, now years later, which is kind of funny and kind of unfair and whatever. But I gotta say, I just have loved being a sketch card artist, and I'm still doing it and still making it work. I'm not sure how much longer, given that I haven't done any official sets in a while, and this is the closest I've had to a lull in terms of that since I started doing it. At the same time, I'm doing stuff like the Drawing Dead Kickstarter on my own, a personal project to fulfill those needs of A, needing to draw and do art, and B, needing to find ways to make money when there's not either commissions out there or sets to work on or whatever. Just sort of hit a point where I'm kind of dinking around, aren't I? Which means this might be done if I'm not gonna get really detailed, because it's not. I mean, I could do a lot more detail. It could be a lot more accurate to the photo for sure, but it's not really what I'm going for. I've got the likeness. I think it's pretty clear who it is. I sure hope so anyway. And it's got enough detail, I think. was getting there anyway, for sure. I know I had more things I wanted to talk about. My son cooperated quite nicely and has stayed down for probably close to an hour already. So, boy, maybe I'm about done. What else was I going to talk about? I know I didn't get into the stuff I wanted to talk about. I told you a little bit about my Alaska trip. I was looking at it on the screen. It's different. It's funny. It's like looking in a mirror or whatever. I can see some things, like this big open area that has nothing there yet. Drawing dead. I got a little bit caught up with what I'm doing there, and just that I want to get back to drawing videos. And I still haven't officially quit my job, and I don't know for sure if I'm going to. I think I'm probably not going to go back to work at the school next year, but I need to sit down with my wife and have a close look at what I have made in the last several months and whether I think I can improve upon that. Basically, I know it's not enough. It's not. I've done pretty good, but I've had some, like I said, troubles getting the routines down to where I get my hours of drawing done every day. I've just sort of missed on some of that. And having said that, I still know it's doable. I know some of the things I have to do. I probably, and I've said this before, but I haven't started it yet. I probably at some point, when I'm really, when this is really my job, when I'm fully treating it like a job, because so far I've been treating Dad as my job number one, and art as I'm trying to work it out and fit it in. But when it's really my job, I might need to do a schedule where when my wife goes to bed, I stay up and draw. And for right now, we really enjoy we've been staying up and sitting up and watching either the Olympics or we usually watch Friends. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, let's see. So I might have to give that up at some point. And that is definitely the answer in terms of how do I find uninterrupted time. I can't remember which artist it was. It's a not new artist, but new artist I've newly discovered on YouTube and only watched a couple of his videos, where he was talking about the importance of, in being an artist, having at least 90 minutes, that was his magic number, uninterrupted time to sit down and draw without interruptions, without your cell phone out, and I'm guilty of that. Even if it's one thing that I'm a daddy and that at any point I could need to change a diaper or do a feeding or entertain a little guy or whatever it is, whatever need he has at the moment. Even aside from that, I'm checking my phone for new messages and things like that all the time, and I need to get better. That's why I have a hard time filling in those 10-minute gaps with drawing, because I'll get on my phone for 10 minutes and I don't need to do that. It's a different world now. It's hard habits to break is some of it, We've got at our fingertips, we've got all we could possibly want with our cell phones. Maybe I could make those lips a little more lippy, a little more luscious. Very luscious lips, Wolfman. Yeah, at this point I'm not not adding much to the drawing. I just feel like I'm not done rambling on about whatever the heck it is I wanted to talk about. So, I know I can make this work still. I know that there's other projects I want to do, and that I haven't. Now, I have to say that this Drawing Dead is a personal project for me that I did on my own, that I chose, that's something I wanted to do. So I can't complain about it in that sense, but even that, once it's there, once it was a product that, you know, is sold and that I've got customers waiting for the artwork to be done, I don't really have and haven't had hardly any time to draw something for me, draw what I want on my own time, because since I started doing sketch cards 4 years ago, I guess 4, almost 4, I haven't had a reprieve. So other than just doing the occasion, like this for, I guess this was for me, but it's more like I did this one because it's so straightforward, so I could just sit down and start drawing without thinking about it. But like my Star Wars set was a mostly personal project. I did most of those on my own. Got these still. I'm so disorganized and disjointed though lately with stuff like, I did those, one of my more recent videos, which is now a month or 2 old, was me packaging up my, random, I don't even know what I called them, random packs with one sketch card original, and then it was right when I got my Star Wars set in, so I guess it was about a month ago. And then a couple cards from each of my sets and a couple stickers and stuff. I went out of town shortly after shooting that video and never really got organized and around to selling those. So here I've got all the stickers and I've got all those packs packed up, and I haven't sold any or put together a list of, people that, I don't know, I feel like I should sell at least 10 of those before I ship any out. Just because of the random nature of the way the packs were done. I wouldn't want it, like if somebody said I want one, I wouldn't really want to ship it out. So in other words, what I'm saying is, in order to sell those, I have to get out and push them and say they're for sale, and I'm taking a list of people, and once at least 10 of them sell, I'll ship them out, or whatever, put them on eBay or something. I haven't even done that. I haven't pushed anything in a while. I've been trying to post daily or close to daily Drawing Dead updates on Instagram and Facebook, but I think partly because I've been out of touch by being out of town for 2 weeks, and partly just other stuff, I haven't had much interaction back and forth with that. It's, you know what I mean? It's just me posting my artwork and not really bringing in. I've got some new followers and stuff, but not really any interaction with new people. And that's what the whole online social media thing, I think it's just changing too. There's so many artists out there, and so many different, Twitter and Tumblr and Facebook and Instagram and whatnot, different methods of social media online. It's so shoved down everybody's throats that there's less interaction going on. It's not just me. I post up a photo and I get 50 or 75 likes and no comments. And then I notice, I can complain about that, but I'm the same way. Like, I get on Instagram and I flip through and I go, oh, that's cool. Like, oh, that's cool. Like, and I sometimes try and say, oh, awesome, or I really like this one, or something of that nature. But that's not enough to change Instagram from a like machine to you can see my hand motions, to integration of people, actually corresponding. So I don't know what that tangent is all about, but I think Wolfman here is pretty good. Just that's about done. So, hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll get this video up. And, I really want to get back to doing videos at least once a week or so. I can do this while he's napping. Might not always be at an hour. I'm close here. Do I have a pen that I can... Yeah, this will work. So, thanks for checking it out, and hopefully I'll get back and organized and fully into being back on YouTube and social media, other than just pumping my new artwork pictures out. Have a little bit of interaction. Get some stuff up for sale. Things like that. Alright, catch you guys next time.